Oh, hey, glad you could make it. Not a bad trudge, was it? I hope the cave didn't give you any trouble. You know you're late, right? Like, it took you several days to get here. Yeah, I know you're not a cat, you're not as agile as I am, but... whatever. Welcome to my Q&A video. So I held this Q&A at my Discord server, so if you're interested in asking me any questions for a Q&A in the future, you should check out my link tree in the description. Let's hop to it. Mr. Scratch Scribe, ask the first question.
How long have you been running with this system? Or did you find it before starting the campaign and ran headfirst into it? How did this idea first come up? Did a single person introduce the idea, or did you come up with it as a group?
This idea started at a gingerbread cookie decoration party. For some reason, Warriors was brought up, and then the idea of Warriors roleplay. I remember saying, "Are you guys serious? Because, I'll treat this seriously. I'm so serious, I'll be so serious." I kept asking throughout the night because I couldn't believe that my friends wanted to do something like this. Seriously, Warrior Cats and roleplay, that's two things I absolutely love so much. But, yeah, they actually meant it. Funny enough, that is the group that I'm playing New Moon with right now, and that's the third arc out of, a combined effort of around, I think at this rate, 17 games total. This is my longest running campaign of, any tabletop role-playing game I've ever made. I love my friends and I love role-playing games, so of course this had to happen. So to answer Merlin, in a sense, this was a group effort. I'd like to give my loved ones credit. This wouldn't have happened without them. Their input, their edits on the game, their playtesting is very valuable to me. To answer Koyacook, I've been working on this for over a year now, so in the grand scheme of things, this project is quite young. Being the nerd that I am, I already knew about the Warrior Cats adventure game. That's the original Warriors tabletop role-playing game. You can see them on the back of old books. I don't know if they print them in the new ones. I tried to run a game with it before when I was a college freshman, but I found it a bit restrictive, while also being not complex enough for my liking. Also, it was the first time I ever really GM'd, and it just kind of went horribly. Now, back into the future, after some maturing and the mentioned gingerbread party, I was ready to get back on the saddle. I read, researched, hunted for different rule sets, and soon enough I found myself rewriting and adjusting everything until it became what it is now. It took a lot of trial and error. When making a game system, you often have to admit your ideas are wrong. There's a lot about the foundations of the adventure game that have remained the same because some of it I found to be just good on its own. I'm so happy people are interested in playing it because playtesting is ultimately what will lead me to making it the best thing it can be. Someday, I even plan on evolving this past a mere edit of an already written game.
Are you alright with people using the system as a jumping off point and changing things like the lore of the clans, for example?
Of course! I want people to feel welcome to take what I give and change where needed or wanted. Lore is something that is just meant to inspire. Clans especially were made to be easy to change. You can literally just ignore everything, aside from the ability and skill increase. You can change those to match your own clans. As far as I'm concerned, you can completely disregard the lore and play with the story you want.
Are Stonetellers related to the ones from the tribe of Rushing Water, or are they a separate group?
Stonetellers are interesting. I made them because I felt like a magic class would be a fun addition to a Warriors game. Warriors have what I like to call cat superpowers. For example, the 3 in the Power of 3. In a role-playing game, your players are the main characters, so why not have cool superpowers? In most cases, the Warrior Book narratives are basically the main characters being chosen by God. StarClan comes to them in a dream and says, "Hey man, you're special." Or they're just handpicked by StarClan. Anyways, the name came from the tribes, as you've picked up. I wanted a title that was a nod to the books, but avoided terms like shaman or seer. I also wanted to imply that perhaps this magic is ancient, as the tribe cats are heavily connected to the past and the building blocks of the clans.
Okay. How do you go about character creation for players as the GM? You have a specific story to tell through the game you've made. How do you guide your players into creating characters that fit said world space, if at all? Or do you rewrite the plot to fit the characters? TLDR, which came first? The characters or the storyline?
Honestly, this is a very much up to you type of question. but I'll give some guidance since you're asking. Personally, I think a bit of both. If I know anything about players, it's that sometimes they already have an original character with a whole backstory cooked up. But players also have a responsibility to communicate with their GMs to fit into the world being written. Communicating the tone and a bit about the story would be important. Also telling your players important details like, hey, you're all going to be in the same clan. That way, all of you can sit down together and decide which clan. It doesn't matter though, ultimately, if you prefer to have characters made first or a story made first, because neither way is wrong. What's important is speaking with your players to ensure you're all on the same page, and if you all like what's being made.
Do you make full character sheets for most NPC cats, or do you have shortcuts?
For important villain NPCs, basically people I want to have fight, yeah, I make sheets for them the same way I make player sheets. Most other NPCs are usually just kind of plot devices that I use to drive forward the story, or they happened organically and I have no sheet planned. The character sheet feels kind of already dead simple to me, but admittedly if you wanted to simplify it, you could probably ignore most skill checks aside from maybe the ones that involve damage like SWAT or bite. You should also make sure that your cats have knacks, because I think knacks are cool, and it might inspire your players to use them. I also encourage you to just absolutely break knacks. Like, you can do some crazy stuff with them if you realize, well, the rules don't specify I can't do this with this knack.
What advice would you recommend for new GMs who are interested in running the system? What things should we add or avoid in order to make the game more enjoyable for everyone?
Be familiar with the rules first and foremost. It's totally okay if in the middle of a game you need to check the rules and refresh yourself. I do it all the time and I wrote them. But they're there to help, so use them. Also, I know you guys are creative, but I suggest playing the game as designed first. Trust me, I understand looking at something and wanting to change it. I mean, how do you think I got here? But oftentimes you can accidentally break something or find questions can't be answered due to your meddling. I only say this mostly for inexperienced narrators as well, because ultimately if you've been doing this for a while, you might know how to get away with it, but if you've never done this before, oh dear God, please don't change anything, you're just putting yourself in a hole. As for performing, writing, and so on, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and your ideas. Be patient with yourself, and almost most importantly, communicate very often with your players. You should know one another's boundaries, and don't be afraid to speak up if you feel like yours are being pushed. Mutual respect is very important.
Quick question, but I'd love to participate as an OC designer, and or if there could be a creative team, like for drawing scenes, help with character sheets, or emotes or videos.
That is a really cool offer, but admittedly, this is all running off of no budget, and I don't really like the idea of demanding free labor from fellow artists. Maybe someday in the future, having a creative team could be on the table. I do like commissioning people every now and again when I've got the funds for it. You know, maybe for some illustrations, or mostly for cool, unique music pieces. But for now, I can't say I'd feel comfortable doing something like that. All that to say, I don't mind fan art. You know, if you make something out of your own passion and want to do so, then that's totally cool with me. And if you're okay with me posting that, like sharing it on my video or something, because at the end of my videos I like to show like fan art and stuff, or art that my friends have made, then yeah, I'm gonna like show it off and tell people you made it, because I think that's cool.
What has been the biggest challenge for you making this game, and what do you wish was more of a challenge?
Honestly, getting the time to playtest. I'm one person, and I desperately need to know what works, what doesn't, what's broken, what's fun, what's awesome. If I don't play with different people, who have different backgrounds and experience, it doesn't leave me with much knowledge on how to improve my game. That honestly really bugs me. But the whole project itself has been, well, kind of an up and down process. I remember having to rewrite a lot of stuff and kind of dreading that process, but once I got into the rhythm, I was able to do it. At the same time, I loved working on it so much, I didn't really mind any of the trials and tribulations. As for what I wished was more of a challenge, I kind of wish people would challenge me more, like the people who are playing my game. Which is why I'm glad that there's people who are, joining me here and seeing if they like to play it or not. Because then that means, someone might come in and be like, hey man, I don't like how this mechanic works. And I'll be like, whoa, elaborate on that. That kind of information is, like, valuable to me. But that's also going to be a challenge because there's a lot of you, admittedly, and I'm a bit new to an audience like that. So hopefully I can take the critique in stride.
Why is Buttermoss so beautiful?
Well, Duskclover and I take care of each other's pelts a lot. So we groom each other, and we brush each other with each other's claws. We make sure not to hurt each other. And that way we can be the prettiest girl in the BoulderClan camp. Thank you so much for your question.
And that's every question. Thank you guys so much for asking me questions. This was fun, trying to figure out how to answer them. I really appreciate people caring enough to give me the questions, and I also appreciate people's patience waiting for this video to come out. I've been a very busy guy, and it's made it difficult for me to pop out videos, so I appreciate those who are active in my community and respect my time. Thank you guys so much for watching.